have Monica here already. Look at that. All right. And there we go. Everyone is connected. Monica is here. It is Wednesday. It is noon Eastern. Things are good. Excuse me. And I am now realizing I have a big spot on my glasses. Like, I really cannot, I don't know how I missed this. I was just doing some cleaning, so I think I probably touched my glasses while cleaning because they were probably sliding down my face. And that is why I am here cleaning my glasses when I should be doing, chatting with you guys. Well, I'm still chatting as I'm cleaning my glasses, but it's nice to be able to see and read what you have to say. So here we go. All right, let's see. Aha. Gee, I can see now. So if you guys have something to say, I can actually read it. Look at that. Always a good thing, right? So here we go. You know the little cloths that they give you to clean the metal furls hooks also work as glasses cleaners. Mine are all kind of interchangeable at this point. So, all right, we have some people over here. Great, coming in on the various sites that we have. This is wonderful. I did switch the Facebook from, and you know what? I don't think I listed it. I need to work on that. I need to add that on my little to-do list. I need a piece of paper to write on. Oh my goodness, guys. I forgot I usually have a little piece of paper right here so I can take notes when I'm talking with you guys in case you say something that makes me think I need to do something, or in case I realize that I need to update the Facebook page for the live stream. So yes, the live streams are now doing Facebook from the Jessie at Home Facebook, the Jessie at Home / Crochet Foundry Instagram, and right now we're on the Crochet Foundry Instagram. All right. So it is 12:03. I usually like to wait around until about 12:05 to get to the real into everything here. Let's share a couple things while we're letting people arrive. We had Will Chatlosh here as a guest a few weeks ago, right? And he said that he was going to be entering in Art Prize, which is a which is an art competition in Michigan. So here is the link up here. You see that, what are these called? My goodness, my brain is not on this morning. QR code. So there's a little QR code. Yes, there's a duck in it. That's because the logo for StreamYard, what I use to do the streaming service, has a duck. Is a duck. That's the StreamYard logo. But that link over there in that QR code will take you to where you can see the art prize entries. Those are all the art prize entries for 2D, which is what our friend Will Chatlosh entered in, was the 2D one. But when you're there, you can see how you can kind of navigate all around the art prize website. So there is that. And then if you want to specifically see Will, I just changed this QR code. The QR code that's up there now is specifically Will's entry if you want to just go and vote for him. So this is the vote for Will QR code that is up there. All right, and then I'm going to switch it back right now. This QR code is now the QR code that's just going to take you to all the 2D entries for Art Prize. So you can see who he's competing against. As much as I will say that, it's awesome to vote for Will, I'm not going to tell you who you have to vote for, obviously. That is not the way these things work, which is why I wanted to show you the entire 2D, all the 2D entries. You can choose what you want. We have certainly found out about it from Will. So once again, here is Will's QR code over here on the top left corner. All right. So I think we are now at, yes, we are at 12:05. And if you saw the thumbnail for this live stream, you saw that we are talking about ease. What is ease? How does it work? Why do I care? All of that sort of stuff. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that in a second. Real quick, I'm going to toss up one more QR code, though. I'm going to leave this QR code up here. Oh, my goodness. Hiccups, everything. The QR code I just tossed up that I'm just going to leave up while I'm doing my thing is the link to join the live sit and stitch tonight. It is from 7 to 9 Eastern. So right now it is just afternoon Eastern. So in about 7 hours, it runs for 2 hours. You do not have to be there the whole time. You can come and go as you want. It is a live Zoom sit and stitch. So that means everybody gets to be on camera. Everybody gets to talk. You are welcome to do it with your camera off or on, with your audio off or on. Some people just like to kind of listen and see what other people are doing. Other people like to pay attention. Other people like to join in. But we are certainly a welcoming group, and it is definitely a safe space for all people who can follow the rule number 1, which is be kind. So when it comes to all of the Jessie at Home and Crochet Foundry community, there's basically 2 rules. Rule number 1 is be kind. Rule number 2 is don't make me make any other rules. So that QR code up there, it will get you the information for the sit and stitch, which is in about 7 hours tonight from 7 to 9 Eastern. And now let's chat about ease. I'm going to go over it to the comment section so I can see y'all. All right, so you can comment here where I can highlight you over here. Sarah says, found ya, hello, because I am now at the Jessie at Home Facebook page. So you can comment from the Jessie at Home Facebook page and I will see you. The best way to watch these lives are, of course, from the YouTube, Jessie at Home / Crochet Foundry. YouTube, it's just Jessie at Home is the username and everything for me. So hello Monica, hello Monique, hello Monica, and all right, Monique and Monica are saying hello to each other. Awesome sauce. So ease, and I know this is one that Monique has asked for several times, and I am going to be writing an article about this that will be free for everybody to read online. All about ease, but in the meantime, I wanted to show you, and I would love for you guys to ask me questions. I can see your comments and questions if you are over on Instagram. I cannot share them the way I share those other ones, but I can see them, and I do check them as I'm going through. So go ahead and ask your questions if you have any specific questions about ease as we're going through here. I have a little, this is kind of a woman-shaped wire decorative thing that works well as just a demonstration mannequin. And then I have a child-sized mannequin. I didn't want to use one of my big ones because there wasn't room in my little area here where I do my videos. So what is ease? Ease is basically, okay, this t-shirt, all right, you see how it's fitting me by, it's kind of tight. If I were to lay this t-shirt out flat, okay, if I took the t-shirt and I just laid it flat. So we'll take this little, here, this is even better example. I have this little head wrap thing, okay, so this thing right here, all right, and there we go. It's a little head wrap, and I'm putting it on, and I'm like, this is gonna fall off, okay, because I didn't make it originally as a head wrap, and so it's actually kind of loose. You see, it's not gonna stay on very well. Now, if I had made it as a head wrap, how would I have been able to make it the right size? Or if I wanted it to be ear warmers, to keep my ear warms, I can wear it like this, but it feels very kind of loose, which might be how I like it. Maybe I like my ear warmers loose. Maybe every time I make ear warmers using a pattern and I make them the size they recommend, it's tight. It gives me a headache. Or maybe my head is just a little bigger than the average woman's head, okay? Maybe I'm using a woman's ear warmer pattern and I'm a trans woman, and so my head is going to usually be a little bit larger, okay? Or just Maybe I'm somebody who it just happens to be, you know, like I said, larger than the average woman's size. And so I'm making them and I'm like, this isn't working. How do I figure out how to always make it so that it fits me specifically? And this is where you're going to find the difference between your actual measurement, the finished measurement of the item, and that is the difference between your actual measurement and the finished measurement of the item is what we call ease. And how you manipulate that difference is going to be what you do to make ease your best friend. So let's talk about that. Here is the ear warmer thing that I just had on. That was a little bit big for me, right? I'm going to take it, I'm going to lay it flat. Okay, and I'm going to measure my head. I'm going to say, I'm wearing ear warmers. And so this is the measurement I want my ear warmers to go around. Okay, because they're ear warmers, they're going around here. It's not a hat. Where's the 0? Okay, so I've got I'm pinching the 0 here, right? And I'm wrapping my little measuring tape. And let's see, this is where they meet. So I've got the 0 here and where it met over here. And where it met over here was 22.5 inches. Okay. So I know the part of my head that I want the ear warmer to go around is 22.5 inches. So now I'm going to actually measure the ear warmers, and they are measuring at folded in half. It's 11.5. Now that's folded in half. So that means all the way around, it's not 11.5. It would be 23, right? And if you want to really go like crazy, you could measure. I'm kind of looking inside the ear warmer now because obviously there's some thickness, right? There's thickness to the crochet. So if I'm just measuring right here, it's kind of hard to see, but I've got the ear warmers folded in half. I'm going to measure from kind of right at the inside of one end, right at the inside of the other end, and that's measuring about 11. So if I were to double that, it would be 22. All right. Let's see. Yeah, so that's about 11, which means if I double it was 22. And before, when I measured it before, I didn't quite have it at 0. So that all matters. You want to make sure that you're starting at the 0 on your tape measure. Like they don't always, some of them the 0 starts at the very end, and some of them the 0 is in a little bit. So make sure you actually start at the 0 of your tape measure because that does make a difference. All right. Yeah, so it looks like there's about a ½ inch difference between measuring it on the inside and measuring it on the outside for the whole wraparound. But this set of ear warmers is about 22 inches around, finished measurement, whereas my head, where I want to wear them, is 22.5 inches. Okay, so that is a ½ inch of ease. Now, the way ease works is if what you're wearing is smaller than you are, then that is negative ease. That means it's going to be tight. Okay. Now with crochet and knit, if you want something fitted, a lot of times you want it tight. So something like ear warmers, you don't want that loose, right? It's not like your baggy sweater that you want to be loose and baggy. If you put on ear warmers that are baggy, they're not going to work because they're going to fall off and because they're not going to actually like hug your ears and keep them warm, right? So your traditional ease for something worn around the head is -2 inches. If my area that I am wearing my ear warmers right here measures 22.5 inches, that means to get -2 inches ease, I would want the finished measurement of my ear warmers to be 20.5 inches. I usually say 1 to 2 inches negative ease is good, even up to 2.5. It depends on what you like the feel of. A really good way to determine what ease you like is to find something, maybe another pair of ear warmers you already have that you really like how they fit. Measure those. So I'm going to measure them, and it's going to be, you know, I have this pair of ear warmers that I love how they fit, and when I measure them and they're folded in half, I get 10.5, and I say, okay, they're folded in half, so I have to double that. So that means 21. So 21 inches finished measurement must be what I really like for wearing, and that for me would be a -1.5 inch ease. Okay, so is this the negative ease of like the ear warmers. Is this making sense to everybody? Let me know if you have a question, type it in. If you can hear me, then that means I can see. If you can see and hear me, then that means when you type in a question, I can see and hear it. I can see it and read it, as long as it's in English. Let's see. Monique is saying thank you for doing the ease and that the ear warmers are very pretty. Why, thank you, Monique. All right. With, like I said, with anything you wear on your head, it is a pretty much standard to say -2 inches ease, or 2 inches of negative ease is what is preferred. So like if you're wearing a hat, again, you make sure you start at 0 on your tape measure, and you measure wherever you're going to wear your hat, okay, which is right here. And I'm still getting 22 and a half. And that is, it's funny. People are like, well, should I measure where my hat goes, or should I measure where my ear warmers go? Right. And it tends to be very similar. If you like your ear warmers to also cover your forehead, that tends to be a little bigger. All right. For me, that went up to, oh no, it's still 22 and a half. Huh. Yeah. Look at that. But it all kind of depends on where, but it's really funny that it is very similar, from like wrapping underneath, like back here, kind of underneath where your head comes back in, right above your neck, up at an angle to around your head, which is where you usually wear ear warmers, or a head thing, a little like continuous headband that keeps your hair out of the way, or if you're wearing a hat this way. They tend to have very similar measurements. And as I said, a -2 inches ease is really good for head wear. Understand, I also think it's the only negative I want in my life. Exactly. Is ease an acronym? No, it's not. It's It's called ease. Okay, when I have a sewing background, so when you're, and this is why it always made sense to me, and I'm assuming that this is where the name comes from. When you're sewing, let's say you have a waistband and you're putting a skirt into your waistband, all right? And your waistband is made to exactly fit your waist, because it's got like a button or something on it, but the skirt has like 3 inches of positive ease in it. So the skirt is 3 inches longer than the waistband is, but you're just supposed to put it in. Well, you can ease it in, and that means kind of evenly distributing the extra bit, and just getting it to slide in there, rather than just doing a gathering. Like a lot of times the shoulder seams on a garment, okay, the actual back piece shoulder seam will usually be about 1/4 of an inch longer than the front. So like the seam right here, from here to here, might measure 3 inches on the front, but on the back it measures 3 1/4. And we're not putting a tuck or a gather or anything in there. What we're kind of doing is almost like pulling the front piece tight and letting the back piece ease in. Okay, and that's why it's called ease in the sewing world. And I'm just taking my best guess that it just translated over to the crochet world as well, with garments and such. But yeah, so ease is the difference between the actual measurement of the garment and the actual measurement of your body. And I'm pretty sure it comes from the sewing term, when you're easing in two measurements that are not two things that are not the exact same measurement, but you sew them together as if they are, without doing any gathering or pleating. It just kind of eases it in. And so then when it's done, you don't see any gathers or pleats, but you might notice that the piece that's a little bigger kind of pops up a little bit. The reason you do that here is because your back shoulder has a little bit more shaping going on, and it fits better. It lays nicer when it's actually on a 3-dimensional person. Okay. But ease in crochet is referring mostly to the difference in the size of your body to the size of the actual garment. So ease is more or less of fabric against the size. So it's more or less of the fabric of the finished garment as opposed to your personal measurement. Yes, it's the difference between the measurement of the garment minus the measurement of your body. So if the measurement of the head wrap is 21 inches and my head is 22.5 inches, I say the measurement of the garment, 21 inches, minus the measurement of myself, 22.5, and that is 21 minus 22.5. You might go, oh my gosh, it doesn't work. Okay, easy way to do it, flip it around, but it's important to remember you had to flip it. So 22.5 minus 21 is 1.5, right? Because you had to flip it, when you flip it back, you now need to make it negative. So you take the measurement of the finished item, the finished measurement, minus your actual measurements. If your measurement is bigger and you want to flip it, you can flip it, do the measurement. But when you do that, in order to get the proper answer, you do have to make it negative. If it doesn't bother you that the first number is larger than the second one, you can do that and immediately know just in your brain to just do it negative. That's fine. It's all good. But the way that I always say is if the larger number is on the bottom, you can flip them, but your answer needs to then have a negative sign next to it. Okay? Only where it really works best that way when you're talking about just two numbers, which is all we're talking about. So don't, try to use that for other things. But when you're just talking about two numbers, if the top number is larger, flip them around and then switch it to negative when you get the answer. All right, so that was the head wrap, which is really easy to talk about, and that is negative ease. Now let's talk about if you're going to make a garment or something, okay? So we have this little lady here, all right? And we're going to measure her chest. And I'm going to use the inches side because I like to talk in inches because that's what I'm used to. But it doesn't really matter if it's inches or centimeters. It all works the same. 25 inches. So this little mannequin here has a 25-inch chest. Now, hold on a second. Let me see. We have another question. If it's negative, how do you adjust? Okay, so let's say we're talking about, I'm not entirely sure I understand what the question is. Nothing you measure right now for our purposes, okay? Not for all math in general, but for our purposes, yourself and your garment, you're not going to have a negative measurement. What you're going to have is the measurement of your garment, your finished item. In this case, it's 21 inches. And the measurement of where it's sitting on your body. In this case, 22.5 inches. So the difference between 22.5 and 21 is 1.5. But because this is smaller, that's negative 1.5. If this were 1.5 inches larger than my head, it would be positive 1.5 inches. It is smaller than my body, so it is negative 1.5 inches. Okay, if you want, are you saying, Monica, it says, do you add or decrease stitches? If you want to make it more negative, so if this has a negative ease of 1.5 inches, but I wanted a negative ease of 2 inches, then I need to do less stitches. Okay, because if I want this to have if I want this to be 2 inches smaller than my head, and right now it's only 1.5 inches smaller than my head, I need to take away 1/2 inch worth of stitches. Okay, if I only wanted 1 inch of negative ease, if I only wanted this 1 inch smaller than my head, and it's currently 1.5 inches smaller, then I would have needed to add more stitches in. Okay, cool. Got it. Good. I did answer the question. Yay! See, I love doing these things in the live streams because it's fun to just be able to teach you guys the general concept. But if there's ever something that like you have a really, I mean, that was a good question, Monica, because that was a everybody's understanding question. But if you ever have a question that's super, super specific, or if you just, when we're done, your head is still going a little spinny, please come to the live sit and stitch. That QR code right here. That's so fun. That QR code right there is the link for tonight's sit and stitch. Okay, we have them every Wednesday, unless there are 5 Wednesdays. We have them the first 4 Wednesdays of every month, as long as I don't have a conflict, which doesn't happen. I very rarely do I have a conflict, but we have them on every Wednesday. And if you are on the Jessie at Home newsletter or the Crochet Foundry newsletter, you will get the information about the sit and stitches. But that is tonight's sit and stitch. It's from 7 to 9 Eastern time, and it's currently 12:30 Eastern. So do your math from there. And you can come on over to the sit and stitch if you have additional questions, or if I just didn't quite make it clear enough for you. All right, so we measured this lady here, and she has a chest of 25 inches. Now, let's say we are going to make her something. All right, we're going to make her a nice, cozy cardigan that buttons shut. For a nice, cozy cardigan that buttons shut, if she measures 25 inches, do you think we want the cardigan's finished measurement around the chest to be larger than that or smaller than that? What do you guys think? Should the cardigan be larger than 25 inches or smaller than 25 inches as a finished measurement? Someone's got to be brave. Give me an answer. I think Monica has it, and I bet Monique has it, and she's just not brave enough to answer, but I bet she knows. And I know a bunch of you guys do too. All right. Nobody's going to say anything? Oh, my goodness, guys. Ha. I see you there. I can read the numbers. All right. Well, then I will tell you, we want it to be larger, right? Because when you wear a cardigan, if you want like a nice, cozy, roomy little cardigan, okay, if you add roomy to anything, that means you want it to be larger, right? If you want it to be really snug and tight, that means you want it to be smaller. So if you're making this dress, this little mannequin here, who's got a 25-inch chest, a cardigan that buttons up, you would want the chest measurement of the cardigan to be larger, which means you would want positive ease. When you're figuring out positive ease on something, first of all, your patterns should tell you, and people are getting better at this. Monique says she wants everything to be larger. She likes having a little bit of room to move in her garments. Some people love wearing things that are tight. Some people prefer to wear things that are loose. It's all up to what you prefer, and sometimes it really depends on the garment. For me, it depends on the garment, but more often than not, I prefer to have some positive ease. But again, depends on the garment, right? And also, yeah. So you figure out what you prefer. But in most cases, when you have a written crochet or knit pattern that you are working from, people are getting a lot better at saying what the ease will be. Okay, so it might say finished measurements. If it says finished measurements, then that means it's the measurement of the actual finished garment. If it says made to fit, that means it's made to fit your measurement. So if it says made to fit a 22-inch head, that means, or if it says wearer's measurements, 22-inch head, that means it's made to fit somebody whose head is 22 inches around. If it says finished measurement, 21 inches, that means that's the finished measurement of the garment. All right. And that matters. Those things matter because when it says made to fit, then what they're saying is you need to trust what their ease was. And this is why a lot of people are now moving towards the finished measurements in the patterns so that you can decide your own ease. But they often will also say the finished measurement is 21 inches, designed to be worn with -1 to 2 inches of ease. Okay. So I might have This is why I love the way patterns are moving right now, because they're being made to fit anybody um, with any ease preference. So I might have 5 sizes of this ear warmer, and rather than saying it's a toddler, a child, a teen, a woman, a man, or, you know, I don't, yeah, that was 5. I'm just going to call them 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to give you the finished measurements. And the finished measurements are going to be, you know, let's say 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. All right, inches. And that's the finished measurements. It would probably start with a 14 if I were doing ear warmers. So it would be 14 if I don't want 5, right? 14, 16, 18, 20, and 22. Okay, those are my finished measurements of my ear warmers. So now what you can do is, knowing those are your finished measurements, you can take the measurement of yourself or whoever you're making the ear warmers for, and you can say, okay, well, you know, I just measured my kid, and my kid has a head of 18 inches around where they want to wear the ear warmers, and it's the pattern says it's made to have 1 to 2 inches of negative ease. So if their head measures 18 inches, then 1 to 2 inches less than that is 16 to 17 inches. So you find the pattern size that is 16 to 17 inches, and there's one that says 16, so that's great. That's the size that you make. Okay. It also allows you, when you're looking at the size, if you can see that the finished measurement is exactly 16 inches and you wanted it 17 inches, since it gives you the finished measurement, you know what you need to add in. You need to add in 1 inch of stitches, because you wanted it 1 inch larger for the finished measurement. So that's why I prefer that patterns have the finished measurement listed. That's what I've started doing with all of my patterns. And I'm going back to my old patterns that, you know, a lot of my old patterns say that just have the made to fit measurements. Some of them have the finished measurements and the made to fit measurements, but anything that only has the made to fit measurements, I'm going through and doing the math to figure out what their finished measurements are, so that you can decide what ease you like. I'll still put in the suggested ease. So if I'm making this cardigan for an actual full-size person, as opposed to this like half-size mannequin here, this isn't actually, you know, true to anything. This is just decorative. But if I were making a cardigan for an actual adult, I would probably list that it would be recommended to have 4 to 6 inches of positive ease. If it's supposed to be really baggy, I might even say like 6 to 8 inches of positive ease. Your pattern should tell you how much positive ease it suggests, okay, or negative ease, how much ease it suggests. But the reason why you want so much ease on a cardigan is because if you measure if you measure your chest just with your undergarments on, okay, it's going to be one size. But if you put on, you've got yourself, you've got your undergarment, and you've got your like nice warm turtleneck, and then you measure it, it's going to be a little bit bigger. Every time you add another layer on, the measurement gets bigger. Okay, it doesn't get bigger by a lot in most cases, until you start talking about adding on sweaters or cardigans or whatever, right? So you want the more layers you're wearing under something, the more positive ease you need, because you become bigger as you put more layers on, right? And because a bunch of things that are tightly fitted start feeling really uncomfortable under your armpits in various places, right? You kind of want, on a cardigan, you kind of want the armholes to fall down a little bit lower so that it's not all gathering up here kind of thing, right? So that all happens when you're talking about getting the proper ease. So for your cardigan or whatever, and I'm going to say the same thing I said before. Here, hold on. Let's see. Love to be cozy in my things, large and cozy, especially when it comes to crochet. See why I'm nervous to make wearables. See, but this is why I'm trying to give you this education. I do see why, because like so many things can go wrong. And that's why I'm trying to give you the education so that you're not as nervous. And that's also why I have the sit and stitches, so I can be there to help you guys out, okay? So, you're going to make a cardigan, right? And maybe it says recommended ease 4 inches positive ease around chest. Okay. And the way that I encourage people to write their patterns, the way that I am now currently writing my patterns, and adjusting any old patterns that aren't written this way, is to list the finished measurement of the garment and made to be worn with X amount of positive or negative ease. And if yours isn't listed that way, hopefully they give you some sort of indication so you can figure it out. And if not, come to the Sit and Stitch. We can help you figure it out. Hopefully, like, one of the things you can do is if it says, if you have 8, let's say you have 12 stitches in every 4 inch is your gauge. Okay, your gauge is 12 stitches in every 4 inches. All right, so what you want to do is look at what the finished number of stitches are around the chest, and maybe there's 3 pieces if you're talking about a cardigan. So you would add those 3. You would add the chest, the measurement around the chest, which is going to be like just below wherever the armhole is. It's usually going to be whatever the longest row, the widest row. If you're stitching back and forth, it's usually going to be that widest row. If you're working one giant piece that you often will do with like knitting, okay, if it doesn't have seams on the side, it's just one full piece, then you want that. Go ahead and see how many stitches are below the armhole. If you're doing 3 pieces for your cardigan, then you still have to see how many stitches there are below the armhole, but there'll be 3 different pieces that you need to add together: the front, the right front, the left front, and the back. And if there's buttons, there's going to be a little bit of overlap. So if the overlap is like 4 stitches, then just subtract 4 stitches. And if you can't figure out what the overlap is, it is most likely going to be around 1 inch on the finished thing, which we'll get to later. Once you've got all of the stitches, you find out how many stitches there are that goes around the chest of your garment, of the finished, of whichever size you're thinking might be the right size. You're going to figure out how big that is by using the gauge. If your gauge was 12 stitches to 4 inches, whatever it is, you take the number of stitches, in this case we're going to say 12, divide it by the number of inches, 4. So 12 divided by 4, and this works for centimeters. If it was 12 stitches and 10 centimeters, then you would do 12 divided by 10. 12 stitches to 4 inches is 12 divided by 4. So 12 divided by 4 gives us 3. That means we have 3 stitches for every inch. Now, if you've counted the number of stitches all the way around, you've added, hopefully your pattern gives you the stitch counts, and your stitch count all the way around is, we'll say, 96. All right. So your stitch count all the way around is 96. And there are 3 stitches per inch. You take 96 and you divide it by the number of stitches per inch. If you did centimeters if you did stitches per centimeters, same thing. Take the number of stitches, divide it by the stitches per centimeter. So if we have 96 and we have 3 stitches per inch, 96 divided by 3 is 32. Okay, so we know that the finished chest measurement on this piece is going to be 32 inches. All right, so 32 inches around. If we're then like, oh, but there's the overlap for the buttons, like I said, if you weren't able to figure out exactly how many stitches were overlapped, then just subtract 1 inch from your finished measurement. So we'd say that, okay, well, once we add the overlap for the button flap, it's only 31 inches. Okay, so we have 31 inches around our cardigan. The cardigan with 31 inches might be nice for her. It'd be kind of roomy because we said she's 25 inches around, right? So if we made her a cardigan that has 31 inches around, that gives her 6 inches of positive ease. That's a decent amount of positive ease for her. Okay, let me show you what that looks like. Start with the 1. All right, so curly cues. All right, here we have 25, but if we go all the way to 31, it's not, you might have thought 31 was really roomy, but look, 6 inches sounds really roomy until you put it around an entire person or an entire item, right? If I take this tape measure and I wrap it all the way around myself, and then I add 6 inches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? Like, it looks like it's a lot when I do it like this, right? That's like 6 inches of ease. That feels like a lot. But when I kind of make it go all the way around my body, it's not quite as much as it seems, as you thought it was. All right, let's look at this guy. He's a little easier to see because he's not see-through. All right, this little dude here. And of course, the smaller you get, the less ease you actually need. So this little dude is only 17 inches around. Let's give him 4 inches of ease. Okay, 4 inches of ease would be 21 inches. All right, so this is 4 inches of ease. Okay, we've got 4 inches of ease over here. But once I kind of put it around total, it feels like it's maybe only, if you drew one circle inside the other, right? So if you drew like one oval, almost like the cross section of this little body that had a circumference of 17 inches, and then you drew an oval around that, that had a circumference of 21 inches, right? That's what I said, yeah, plus 4. You would see that there's maybe only about 3/4 of an inch difference between here and here. So like if I were to stick my finger in between the two measurements, there'd only be about 3/4 of an inch all the way around in the difference when you're looking at the cross sections. This is where your head goes if you're not really good at geometry and stuff. But just know that 6 inches of ease is not like, it's not like this all the way around. 6 inches of ease is, really only an inch away from your body all the way around-ish. The best way to determine how much ease you want, all right, because that's really what we're going to get down to here, right? First, there's 2 things that you really want to look at. You want to look at what the pattern says. Recommended to be worn with 4 to 6 inches positive ease. Okay, for a cardigan, or recommended to be worn with 6 to 8 inches of positive ease. That's the first thing you want to look at. The second thing you want to look at, well, it doesn't matter which one's first or second, but these are the 2 things you want to look at. The other thing you want to look at is if you have a cardigan, or if you go to the store with a tape measure and find a cardigan that fits you exactly like you want it to fit. I don't care if it's too long or anything like that, but in the measurement that you're worried about, your chest, it fits around your chest exactly how you want it to fit around your chest, okay? Then you're going to take that cardigan, you're going to lay it out flat with it, buttoned shut if it buttons or whatever, lay it out flat and measure it. Multiply it by 2 because it's folded in half when it's laid out flat, right? Lay it out flat. There's 2 layers. Don't try, even if it buttons, even if it's a cardigan so it opens, don't try to lay it out so it doesn't have to be measured in half because it's going to distort it. You want it folded at the side seams, okay? So leave it folded at the side seams when it's laid out flat, measure all the way across, and then multiply it by 2. All right, if it didn't quite close, if you're wearing something that doesn't close all the way, then you multiply it by 2 and then you subtract whatever that gap is. All right, but you measure the whole thing, multiply it by 2, and that is what the finished measurement of the garment is. So now you have the finished measurement of the garment that fits you exactly the way you want it to fit. And let's say the finished measurement of that garment is 52 inches on your chest. And then you measure your own chest. And you measure your own chest and you get 47. All right. So your chest is 47 and the finished chest measurement of the garment that fits you exactly, of the cardigan that fits you just how you want the cardigan to fit you, is 52. You go 52 minus 47. That is 5. Yes, that is 5. All right. And since the garment is larger than your body, that's 5 inches of positive ease on the garment. So you want to make a garment so you like your 5 inches of positive ease. You also like your finished garment to be 52. All right. You know both things now. This helps you in 2 ways. If it helps you no matter how your pattern is written. Well, not no matter how your pattern is written. If they haven't given you enough information, there's a problem. But now you know that you like 5 inches of positive ease for your cardigan, and that your cardigan finish measurement, based on what your measurements are today, should be 52 inches. If your measurements end up changing, you just add 5 inches onto them, and you're still going to have 5 inches of positive ease, right? But at the measurements you are now, if you make a pattern that gives you finished measurements of the garment, you find the size that is closest to 52 inches. If there's one that is 50 inches and one that, did I say 50? No. Yeah, 52. If there's one that is finished measurements 50 inches and one has a finished measurement of 54 inches, then what you need to decide is, do you want to adjust the pattern to make it meet in the middle? All right. Or if you're not comfortable with that, if you want to make it exactly as the pattern is written, you're not comfortable with adjusting it, then you want to decide, do you want it to be a little bit tighter or a little bit looser? And that is your preference. If you're okay with it being a little bit tighter, make the one that is only 50 inches instead of 52 inches. If you would rather be a little bit looser, make the one that's 54 inches instead of 52 inches. If your pattern doesn't give you finished measurements, but gives you the wearer's measurements, made to fit 48 inches and you measured 47. Okay, so that's probably going to fit you, but check and see. The best thing is if it actually tells you made to fit these measurements, pattern has 4 to 6 inches positive ease. Great. If the pattern has 4 to 6 positive ease and you wanted 5, then you want to make the one that's made to fit your measurements. All right? Because 5 is right between 4 to 6. If the pattern says pattern has 2 to 4 positive e's, you probably want to make one that's made to fit somebody one size a little smaller than you, because you want more ease. I'm sorry, I did that backwards. I know, it's so confusing, and I just gave you the wrong answer. Okay, if it says it's made to have 2 to 4 inches positive ease and you wanted 5 inches positive ease, then what you want to do is make one that's made to fit somebody larger than you. You can always just real quick do the math. If it's, you know that you want your finished piece to measure 52 inches, and if it says it's made to have 2 to 4 inches positive ease, and these are the made to fit measurements, then the one that says it's made to fit a 48 inch is going to be add 2 to 4 inches, 50 to 52 inches finished. That's smaller than 54, right? So that's going to be a little tight for you. And then the next size says it's made to fit somebody with a 50-inch chest. And it says it's made to have 2 to 4 inches of positive ease. So you go, okay, 50, then 2 to 4 is 52 to 54. You wanted 54-inch positive ease. That might be a better choice for you, right? Because the one that's made to fit a 48-inch, that's made to fit a 50-inch chest, is going to have a finished measurement of 52 to 54 inches. All right, so it's going to work a little better for you. When I write the post about this, which is on my short list of like, it's on my upcoming posts I need to write, I will put formulas in there for you where you can write in, this is what it measures, this is what I measure, this is what the ease is, all of that. Okay. But if you do the math, you'll be able to determine what ease you prefer based on garments you already have, and what ease is in the pattern based on the measurements they give you, unless they don't give you enough information, in which case that's a big bummer. They should, though, at least give you, hopefully you can at least figure out what the stitch count is on the row that's around your chest, on the row that's around your waist, on the row that's around your thigh, whatever you're measuring. And then look at the gauge and do the math yourself. And in the article, I will show you how to do that. All right, Monique said, understand the way I explain it, where it makes it easy to put on. Essentially, the larger the ease, the more you have. Yes. So many math questions now, which is why I'm also writing a post about this, because I know that saying it just makes your brain spin sometimes. For me, math is easy. Math has always been super easy to me. It just makes sense, which is why it's sometimes harder for me to teach math because I never had to figure it out. It just made sense. All right. But I do know that that is not the norm. So that is why I try to make sure whenever I'm teaching something with math, I give you formulas or a worksheet where you can plug everything in. All right. So when I write up this post about ease, I'm going to put in all the formulas you need to be able to figure out, you know, what are the finished measurements of this garment. If they didn't give me the finished measurements, they just said who was made to wear. What size should I make if they just gave me the finished measurements, and I'm not sure what size I want to make? How much ease should I use? Okay. And there's the recommended ease from the designer. The recommended ease from the designer is going to, hopefully, going to give you the same sort of look as what is shown in the picture. Hopefully, whatever size they put on their model is the right size for their model, but you can't always guarantee that either. Especially if, like, the people taking the photographs aren't the people who made the garment. You know, sometimes there's a disconnect between the person who got the models and who styled it and the actual way it's supposed to be. But if you use the designer's recommended amount of ease, it's going to give you the look that they intended for it. But if you want something different, then you have a little bit of math to do. And I will include all of that in the article. So what I want to know from you now, because it is 12:53, is if there are anything I addressed in here will most likely be addressed in the post. But just in case, if there's anything you want in the post that I did not address in here, or anything you want to say, please make sure it's in there, go ahead and put that into your comments. You can also email me at Jessie, Jessie, at jessieathome.com. Jessie @ jessieathome.com. All right. So, and you can, where's my site? I think it's over here. Blah, here we go. Okay, this right here now, I wish when it put up the little thing, it would tell you what it was, so I don't have to, like, so that it's labeled and you don't have to wonder where that QR code goes. This QR code will take you to jessieathome.com, where you can sign up for the newsletter. I believe there's a contact there, but it's really easy to remember my email because that's jessieathome.com, and I am Jessie. And it's spelled correctly when you go to jessieathome.com. So if you just do Jessie @ jessieathome.com, that will take you to my Gmail, to my email account. Okay. And I will, you can let me know what things you would love for me to include in the ease post. If you have a question before that goes up or after it goes up, you can ask me the question. And of course, the absolute best way to get help as quickly as possible, I'm going to change this QR code, is at one of our Wednesday sit and stitches. This Wednesday, our sit and stitch is tonight, because it's Wednesday, from 7 to 9. All right, so this QR code right here will take you to where you can get the link for tonight's sit and stitch. Yes, it asks for your email. It does not add you to any email list. The reason it asks for your email is because people sometimes sign up weeks in advance, and by getting your email, it will be able to send you a reminder for the sit and stitch. I think I have it set to send the little reminder 1 hour beforehand. I also, if you have signed up to be on either the Jessie at Home email list or the Crochet Foundry email list, I will send a reminder to those two groups 2 hours before the sit and stitch with this link. But at this link, yes, you have to give it your email, but it's only taking your email so that it can email you the link and it can email you the reminder. And then I don't keep those emails, and I delete the files. So you're not going to get, once the sit and stitches happen, that's it. You're not getting any more information. So please don't think that I'm like, if you're expecting to be added to the newsletter list, you need to actually sign up for the newsletter list. There's no way to get added to the newsletter list by signing up for the sit and stitch. They're two separate things, because I want to respect people's privacy. All right. So come to that. I'm working on getting more information into the the navigation bars on Jessie at Home and on Crochet Foundry, so that it'll be easy for people to find all the information they need. Excuse me, hiccups. If you missed a QR code that you wanted, this live will be on replay on YouTube, and the YouTube channel is the one it's on right now, which is simply Jessie at Home. So YouTube's so you do youtube.com/@Jessie at Home. I believe even if you forget the @ it will still find me, but it's youtube.com/Jessie at Home. Okay, I've had my YouTube since YouTube was like brand new, and so this is the way it was all set up back when YouTube was brand new. And so this is me. All right, so I hope you can watch the rerun there, and so you can grab whatever QR codes you need. You can get any information that you need to listen to again, and you can, of course, right now, what is up here, let me make sure it is the one that I'm going to say. Yes, what's up here right now is the QR code for going to the sit and stitch tonight in about 6 hours from 7 to 9 Eastern. You can ask questions there. You can email me questions. I really want to make sure that when I write this post on ease, I give you all the information you want, and I include in the printable PDF with all of the little cheat sheets, the fill in all of your measurements and everything. I include all the information in there you could possibly need to do the math in any direction to make sure that you're using the correct amount of ease. Remember, it is talking about the size of the finished garment versus you. So if it has negative ease, then that means the finished garment is smaller than you. Something you want to be tight and not move, like ear warmers or a hat or a fitted corset kind of item, the waistband of an item. That would be negative ease. You want it smaller than your body. If it has positive ease, that means the finished item is larger than you, something where you want some room in there. Okay, you want room around your hips on a skirt, because when you sit down, that area gets larger. Okay, sometimes, yes, sometimes you do have negative ease. Depends on I guess it depends on the skirt. On a skirt that isn't like a pencil skirt, you want some positive ease on your hips, right? On a cardigan, on something that's layered, you want positive ease. But again, if you want it fitted, then it's negative. You might take something that was made to have positive ease and decide you want to have negative ease. Keep in mind it wasn't made to be that way, so I can't guarantee that it'll work out just so right. You might find that the armhole, the armpit is a little low if you take something that was made to be worn with positive ease and make it with negative ease. But you can do it by making the different sizes or whatever. And it just helps you determine what size works best for you. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that no matter how the designer lists measurements and ease and everything else, you'll be able to figure out what you need to figure out to make the size that will work best for you. And of course, coming to the sit and stitch with your questions is a great way to do it. If you have a pattern that you have a question about, if it is, you don't share the pattern for everybody to see. You can either just share the little section that explains things. That's fine. You can share 1 or 2 lines of the pattern if that's what you need. If the pattern is free, then share where we can grab the pattern for free so that we can look at it ourselves. If it's a paid pattern and I need to see more than a couple of lines to really help you, then what I'll probably do is have you email me the pattern, and I will, and I give my word to designers out there, as another designer, I will only look at what I need to look at to be able to help. And when I am done helping that person, I will get rid of the pattern. I will not use it for my own personal use, and will only use it to help the designer, help the maker, as I would if I were sitting next to the maker and they had, they had gone out and they had bought the book and I was sitting down next to them and looking at it. And I mean, if it's a book, if it's something printed and you don't have the PDF, you can take the picture and you can email me the picture. Okay, I'll give you my email and you can email me the photo of that part of the pattern or whatever. But I don't want it shared with the entire Sit and Stitch group because I'm trying to be respectful of everybody's copyright, of everybody's intellectual property. It is never my intention to do anything that is morally or ethically unsound. If I am looking at a paid pattern that I did not pay for, I will lose it when I am done. When I am done helping the maker, okay. And in my mind, that's a benefit to everybody in that I am helping the maker make somebody else's pattern successfully, which is good for them. And since I'm not doing anything hinky with the pattern, not even using it myself, just using it to help the person, that's no different than me just sitting down next to them with the pattern in front of them or their book open and helping them out. All right, so there we go. Hopefully I will see a bunch of you at the Sit and Stitch tonight, and I will definitely see you again this same bat time, same bat channel next week for our Wednesday lives. And I hope to talk to y'all soon. Have a wonderful day. Happy stitching.